Hi, I'm Howard Greenstein, and I'm with Kevin Werbach, the organizer of the Supernova Conference, and we're going to talk today about Supernova 2009. So clearly, the propensity of individuals to self-organize into movements has been a powerful influencer in your thinking, and clearly that was part of the Obama campaign and campaign strategy. How has this, come up in previous years at Supernova, and how do you think that that will be handled as a topic this year?
We had a slogan a couple years ago that was Supernova is people. That's always been at the core of Supernova. It's a conference, so I'm an organizer and I have a team of people that work with me. We put together sessions, we pick speakers, and so forth. But I've always thought of it as a community. It's always been about getting the right people in the room and then unleashing them to think new thoughts and to come up with new ideas and to take the conversation where it goes. So that's going to be something that will be true this year as well. We're going to use the latest tools to do that. Back in 2002, that meant blogging, which and having a Wi-Fi network in the room, which was then still a fairly unusual thing. Now we integrate in new tools like Twitter and video streams and so forth. We're going to continue to do that. The thing in particular we're going to do this year is to build and develop this Supernova Hub community online as an ongoing conversation that doesn't just start and stop with the conference, but that continues throughout the whole year and that extends to people who are in the larger Supernova community, even if they're not necessarily going to be in the room for those 3 days in San Francisco.
So let's clarify and bring that a little bit more into focus. So the Supernova community is not just going to be the people who attend the event, and you're not just creating it for the people who are there for those days, but that this is an ongoing community site that you're hoping to build out over the next couple of months. And by the time the conference is there, people will have already had started to have the discussions around the supernova topics.
That's right. And that's, as I said, that's always been the way I've thought about Supernova. And that's always been what happened, whether or not we had an official site that served that purpose. But this year, we're really trying to build out and provide a framework for the community. It's not all going to happen, of course, on our site. We're not trying to force everyone to come to a supernova community and abandon the communities where they are now. We're going to work with some great people to curate conversations and content that may be happening elsewhere, and to have the best ideas flower wherever they are online, and to have that reflect in both directions with the conversations in person in San Francisco the first 3 days of December at the Supernova Conference. Because I've always felt that there are some things that happen and can only happen when people are in a room together for a short period of time. That's what the conference is about. But on the other hand, there are lots of things that can't happen just in 3 days when everyone's in one room together. And there are lots of people who won't be in that room for any number of reasons. So the goal with Supernova is to leverage both sides of the community, the short-term physical community that gets together once a year, and the ongoing extended set of conversations that are throughout.
Are there any of the sub topics that you want to kind of call out now in any way to say, here's something to think about going forward, so that by the time we've reached December, people will have had more time to think about them?
Well, first of all, I want people to tell me. We have a set of topics, and we'll be putting out information on our site about sessions and people and so forth. But I always welcome insights. You can reach me at kevin@supernovagroup.net, or KWERB on Twitter, or any number of other ways that people can find. I love to get insights, and I always do get insights from people all over the place. But there are a number of different topics that we're looking at, and it's a work in progress. I don't fix the agenda for Supernova months and months in advance, because things will change. That being said, some of the things that we're looking at, one development that people talk a lot about now is what's often called the stream, the idea that we're moving to an increasingly real-time experience as opposed to the kind of static experience of pages on the web, and that instead of going to a particular piece of content, you'll think more and more about just dipping into this ongoing stream of conversations. Twitter being a great example of that, but it's not by any means limited to that. Again, that's a concept that's been at the heart of what we talk about at Supernova and the way Supernova operates for 8 years. But it's something that we're seeing maturing in an important way on the web.
So clearly, Kevin, you've also been involved very much in government and in the Obama transition. What of that experience is going to be reflected in the Supernova content potentially this year?
We'll definitely have some content and some people that relate to the new administration. There's a big issue around broadband. That's something that I've been involved with for a long time. This administration is really committed very strongly to enhancing the quality of broadband and the value of broadband in the United States. So we'll look at that. The other thing that's happening that's very exciting to me is open government, putting content and data online and making it accessible to people will be incredibly powerful down the road. So we'll look at that. The other thing is that Supernova has always been an international conference. We typically have people from 10 or more countries around the world. And even though we're based in the U.S. and the focus will be more the U.S. than anything else, we'll definitely bring in people from other countries to have different perspectives and to look through that lens at some of the developments that are happening here in this administration.
Right. And then I know that one of the things that Supernova has clearly done in the past is, as opposed to different conferences that just bring out companies with new ideas and stuff like that, Supernova does look at, where's the business model in here, and also lets companies, have those kinds of conversations without necessarily the pressure of having the business model, but being able to sort of think big thoughts. What do you see coming out of this year?
Big thoughts.
Big thoughts.
Right, and part of it is that I don't always know ahead of time, and there's no way to know ahead of time. I don't focus too much on finding the hot startups, even though that we have a great track record of companies being there very early on, including Sergey Brin from Google at one of the very first Supernova conference in 2002, back when Google wasn't a very big company. But our focus is more on getting the right people in the room, people who have insights and perspectives and ideas that are going to lead to something down the road. It's not just an ideas conference for its own sake. There's value in that. But the real core of Supernova is being forward-looking. So having a discussion not so much about just where the world is today, but where it's going to be in a few years. Where we can see what's happening, but it's not fully there yet. But at the same time, being grounded. We're not just talking about in the abstract what we think is going to happen. We're talking about real companies, real trends, real business dynamics. That's part of being a business school professor and having colleagues from the Wharton School involved, is that we're not just looking at great ideas in some generic sense. We're looking at this through a lens of what happens in the real world.
Great. So for people who are interested in learning more about Supernova, where should they go online, and when's the conference?
SupernovaHub.com is our new online community site, which will be the home for the Supernova conference, as well as the ongoing conversations throughout the year. And the conference will be December 1st through 3rd, 2009 in San Francisco. See you there.
See you there, Kevin. Thanks so much.